going to be talking essential pantry items that you should stock up on if you are going to be doing Veganuary 2021, or if you are just someone who likes to eat healthy, likes to cook, maybe you've been vegan for a long time, and you want to set yourself up for success in the new year. These are items that you're not going to see these on other pantry essential videos, because I really curated a list of just 3 items that I think are underrated, but also essential for my cooking and just make it a lot easier and more practical for me to get into the kitchen. I want to thank Thrive Market for sponsoring this video. I teamed up with them to get these groceries because even though you can get them at any grocery store, I always save time and money when I shop on Thrive Market. I've been shopping there since my hair looked like this, which was bleach blonde and very short, and now my hair is all my natural color, so all grown out, all that blonde is gone. It's super, super long now, so that should tell you how long I have been a Thrive Market customer. And the reason is because not only do I save a trip to the actual grocery store, I don't have to go in and grocery shop, but also I save some money on the items that I'm already buying, and the company itself is very aligned with my ethics. They were just recently certified the B Corporation status, which means that they are legally required to basically mind their P's and Q's when it comes to how their company impacts the environment, how they hire and manage the people that they work with, how they work with the farms, and how the facilities that they distribute their goods is operating and how that affects everything. So it really is a very impressive certification to get, and not a lot of companies do, and the ones that do are really just trying to do some good in this world. You can shop anywhere, might as well save some time, some money, and support a company that is trying to do their best. So definitely check out the link in the description box below if you are new to Thrive Market. And with all of that said, let's get started with the first essential, which I think is perhaps the most underrated: spice blends. And I don't know if you've ever seen on my website or on my logo, it will say Nikki Vegan, and then it says vegan recipes for real life. And I always emphasize and capitalize the real in real life, because to me that means I'm not making recipes for the life that you wish you had, or the one where you have all the time in the world and everything is all prepped and ready to go and you have every single ingredient at your disposal. That would be wonderful, but the reality of real life is that yes, you want to make something delicious and nourishing, but you also have a lot of other things that you have to do. And so having items that are really convenient and kind of work with you and work for you in the kitchen, I think are essential. And it's that thing that really makes getting into the kitchen less overwhelming and less daunting. And so I try to make recipes with that in mind, and I try to stock my pantry with items that work with my real life and save me a lot of time, and spice blends is definitely that. Now, some really popular spice blends are everything but the bagel seasoning, taco seasoning, chili mix. Here I actually have a vegan French onion dip. This is like an accidentally vegan product, but it's just a blend of onion and garlic and sea salt and pepper. But if you were to have all of the different herbs and spices that go into these spice blends, first of all, that's a lot of items to buy and to store, but also these are already pre-mixed in the perfect ratio and combination, so it's delicious. All you have to do is sprinkle it on, and in a matter of seconds you've added a ton of flavor and complexity to even a very simple dish. Even just something like potatoes or mushrooms that you saute a little bit, adding a spice blend really does boost the flavor in such a quick and easy way. You can use them in the way that you would think. So taco seasoning, of course, you can use to make tacos, but have you ever used taco seasoning to toss with sweet potatoes? You do a little bit of olive oil, maybe some salt and pepper, some taco seasoning, put that in the oven or into the air fryer to make your sweet potato fries, and it's like, oh my gosh, so good. And you can get really creative like that. You can sprinkle it onto hummus, or if you're making some kind of sauce, you can really use those pre-mixed spices to add a ton of flavor without having to measure a lot of things out. I also really love using poultry seasoning, and I was talking to a viewer on Instagram recently, and we were talking about doing a chickpea chicken salad. So instead of doing a chickpea tuna salad, you would just change out the spices a little bit. So I said that basically what I think you could do is do some chickpeas and mash them up, maybe do some celery, maybe do some apple or some cranberries, and then do your vegan mayo or your hummus, and then add a little poultry seasoning, mix it on up, and serve it just like you would a chicken salad, but this is a chickpea veganized version. But you're going to get a lot of those great savory flavors just by sprinkling in a little bit of poultry seasoning. The other one that I really like, you would have seen this if you saw my beef and pickle taco recipe. I make these tacos that have a lentil taco filling, and I use this steak seasoning. And even though it's called steak seasoning, it's totally vegan, and it basically has like rosemary and sea salt and garlic and chilies and thyme and dill and coriander, all of these delicious flavors all in one bottle, and I just add that right into the mix, and it adds this really incredible depth of flavor because you're getting so many different flavors but in a very cohesive way, and it's just such a convenient product to have. As you can tell, it is well loved. I have used quite a bit of it, and I will definitely be repurchasing this one. So I will put some of my favorite spice blends in the description box below. My next pantry essential is vinegar, and you might think this is a little bit strange, but I use vinegar in baking all the time, and this is really what replaces traditional chicken's eggs. It makes the perfect vegan cakes and muffins. It's so good, and I'll explain the science of that in just a second. But I also like to have vinegar on hand to make dressings, and I mean, I use this in so many different things to add complexity. Now, I will say I have a lot of vinegars. I have balsamic vinegar, I have apple cider vinegar, but I think the one that is truly essential and the most versatile is white rice vinegar, and I have even used it in cleaning in a pinch when I have something sticky and I don't have distilled vinegar. This is an absolute essential for me, and when I first started cooking with vinegar, it was a little bit tricky, especially when I was trying to make salad dressings. Everyone would always say, homemade salad dressing tastes so much better. Comment below if you can relate to this, but I would make homemade dressings and they were just really sharp and really acidic, and like there wasn't a lot of dimension, or just weren't very delicious, to be honest with you. I didn't fully understand how to use vinegar in a salad dressing. And so my basic ratio, if you're going to be making a salad dressing, and I will link tons of recipes below, I have so many dressings and sauces on my website. Basically, you need to start with some kind of a fat. So I will do either tahini or olive oil, or sometimes both. And then that creates kind of the base and the softness. And then to brighten that up and add lots of flavor and zing, I will add usually 2 acids. The first one being vinegar. And then I love doing some kind of citrus, lemon, orange, lime sometimes, kind of depends on what vibe I'm going for. But I found that layering acids really adds this wonderful complexity and flavor, and just kind of makes whatever you're cooking taste so good, even though you're literally just shaking vinegar into the bowl and squeezing in a little citrus. Super easy. But generally that needs to be rounded out a little bit. So what I do then is I usually will add something that is just ever so slightly sweet. Not enough to make the dressing sweet, but just enough to take that little bit of edge off, so we're creating balance. And then a good amount of seasoning as well, salt and pepper, and I love using fresh herbs. So that combination of having a fat, 2 acids, a little bit of a sweetener, and then lots of seasonings and herbs really does create a delicious sauce and dressing. That's kind of my go-to formula, and I change up all of the ingredients, but that's really the way I think of it. I create balance and more of like a rounded flavor profile by making sure that I have those key elements. The next way that I like to use vinegar is in baking. Vinegar is what you need to create a delicious, fluffy cake. No, you're not going to taste the vinegar as long as you don't use too much, but what this does is it creates a really incredible texture with very simple ingredients. A cake is really just flour and sugar and a little oil, a little, baking powder, whatever, but it's all about the texture, right? So it's like the ingredients are very simple, but you can have something that is kind of dry and dense and not very tasty, or you can have something that is like bakery quality, really light and flavorful and fluffy and has that perfect crumb structure. Some of that is by making sure that you get the ratios right and you get enough lift in the batter. So what vinegar does is it mixes with baking soda, not baking powder, baking soda, and the two combine and it creates like a natural chemical reaction, and it creates these air bubbles. And the bubbles literally lift the batter as the cake is cooking in the oven, and it creates a really nice light, fluffy, tender cake. And it's really cool. You don't need to use a chicken's egg to make a delicious cake. I explain all of this in detail in my online cooking class, which I will link down below. It's on sale right now. I think the more that you know about what certain ingredients do, the more comfortable you feel in the kitchen, and the more confident you feel about like what you're adding and why. Sometimes it's easy to look at a recipe and think, oh, I don't like vinegar, I don't need to add it. You're not going to taste the vinegar. It's all about what the acid does in the cake. So having this on hand is great. Also, I use distilled vinegar for cleaning, but sometimes if I'm in a pinch, I will use a little bit of this to get something sticky off of the counter or in the fridge. I will dilute it with a little water and it really does help. Also, I do all my dishes by hand because I don't have a dishwasher, and to sterilize I always like to use vinegar to I make like a little soapy bath with dish soap, water, and some vinegar, and then I will make like this little bowl of my disinfectant solution and do my dishes with that, and my dishes get really clean. The vinegar makes the dishes really nice and shiny and also just sterilizes them. So if you don't have a dishwasher, if you do a lot of dishes by hand, distilled vinegar is ideal, but I've done it with this vinegar, I've done it with other kinds of vinegar. Don't use balsamic. I feel like I don't have to say that, but yeah, apple cider kind of works. This works better. Distilled works the best. I'm just being real with you. I use a lot of vinegar in this kitchen. My last kitchen essential, and something that I love so dearly, I have a nut-free option and a nut option, but both of them are equally staples and super important in my kitchen, and that is cashew butter and tahini, which I left in the cabinet because I was excited to start filming. I just sat down, I didn't grab it. But cashew butter, if you have not tried cashew butter, you guys, it is like the most silky, creamy, decadent. I could eat this by the spoonful. It is delicious in and of itself, and I do get this on Thrive Market. It can be a little bit pricey, but I save some money when I get it on Thrive. And you want to look for raw cashew butter, not roasted or salted or anything like that, because this is really, I think of this as a base. So have you ever used like a bouillon paste or a curry paste, and you know, add your coconut milk to curry paste, and maybe you add a few other things, but that creates a sauce? I kind of think of this as like a sauce starter, and it's the thing that really does make going into the kitchen and whipping up dinner on a day where I'm really busy seem actually very doable, because I know that with a little liquid and a little spices, I can make a really delicious cream sauce for pasta, or I can make something like my, I'll put the recipe below, but it's this mushroom and navy bean creamy dish that has cauliflower. It's so good, so satiating, tastes a lot like risotto. I just literally spoon this right out of the jar and I put that in with the spices, and it creates the most decadent creamy sauce, but I don't have to soak my cashews, I don't have to blend my cashews, and there's basically just no waiting around. So do I often make recipes where I soak cashews and blend them? Yeah, all the time, of course. But when I'm busy, knowing that I have this on hand just makes me feel much more relaxed about life, as Venetia Lamana would say. I use tahini in the same kind of way. You want to make sure that you're using a really runny tahini, one that is very, very liquidy. You don't want the kind that's spreadable, because that has a very strong nutty flavor and it just doesn't work in the same way. Either runny tahini or cashew butter I use to make all kinds of creamy sauces and dressings and vegan cheese sauces. I use cashew butter to make my butternut squash mac and cheese, which is a really delicious, one of my OG recipes that I've been making forever. I also use this to make like a fettuccine alfredo sauce. There's so many different things that you can do with it. And likewise with tahini, you can use both cashew or tahini to make sweet sauces. I love mixing tahini with a little bit of light miso paste, a little bit of almond milk, and then some maple syrup. Mix that together and it creates this kind of like salted caramel sauce that is so good. You can put it onto your oatmeal, you can put it over ice cream, you can put it on pancakes. It's delicious. Even baked sweet potatoes, if you want to do like a sweeter baked sweet potato. Sometimes people do sweet potatoes for breakfast. This is delicious for that. And so I really recommend stocking up your pantry with some raw cashew butter and also some tahini. They are so versatile, so delicious, and they really just save so much time in the kitchen. I cannot recommend them enough. Those are my pantry essentials. Hopefully they were unique and kind of different, kind of helpful, got the juices flowing, got you excited about making some delicious, good vegan food in 2021. And if you know anyone doing Veganuary, please point them in the direction of my YouTube channel, send them a link to my videos, send them a link to my Instagram or to my recipe blog, nikkivegan.com. I would love for them to try my recipes and hopefully see that veganism is not only practical and doable and easy, it can be super convenient, but also delicious and filling and nourishing and just very doable, right? Like that's the whole reason I do what I do, is I want to show people that it can be something that they can do too. So I really hope that you guys will share my channel with whoever may need it for Veganuary 2021. Make sure you check out the link in the description box below if you are new to Thrive Market, and that is where you will also find links to my Instagram and my blog and my class and all of that as well. I hope you guys have a wonderful 2021. Thank you for all of your support in 2020. You guys mean so much to me and I'm so, so grateful for you. Stay safe, stay healthy, eat something delicious, and I will see you next year. Bye guys.